Is this series going to be too difficult? That is the question that has been asked. Look at James Paxton just sensually beating the hell out of that glove. Is this series going to be too difficult? Perhaps. We haven't gotten off to a very good start, or at least one that instills a sense of optimism in this series, in part due to us taking a little bit of time to lock down what the rules are, but also in part we just haven't had that much luck with talented players that have been available to us, particularly in the entry draft. Today, though, we get to start off at the draft. We're starting off with the draft today. It is a draft to glory, so that's good. Well, it's a Nations United, but it's technically a draft to glory style. There's two different ways to do Nations. You can have pre-established players or not. Really, it wouldn't make that much sense to have pre-established players because it wouldn't have helped that much. If anything, it probably would have just made it more frustrating to try and lock down #1 picks. I mean, again, you add like an Ohtani to this team, and yeah, it just would have made things more difficult. So it made sense to do this in a more draft to glory style. But we start off with the draft today. The season, I mean, we are just on fire right now. But we start off with a draft today, and I am hoping for the best. The draft is in 6 weeks. We already have everybody scouted that we need to scout. So let's get down to business, shall we? And hopefully we can have a solid enough draft that, you know, the optimism, the sense of optimism returns. We have the #1 overall pick. Of course, we picked up Eric Encarncion, who has been a dynamite closer for us thus far with the pick in the last draft, our first round pick in the last draft. So maybe, just maybe, good things can happen for us today. We start off with the Canadian, Ralph Moseley, who looks like an absolute monster. He has no vision or discipline, but pretty goddamn good start. There's also Alan Nakayama out of Japan. Here's the issue, though. He's 21. He's 5+ years away. So he might be blue chip, but we know how that's going to work. Really low overall with a high potential. Is it worth taking him over Moseley, who might be a B potential, but is already looking like he's pretty good? That's the question. There's also Eric Young, the Jamaican, who's also not that bad. So we have 3 decent enough catchers. I was going to say closers because of Encarnacion, but 3 decent enough catchers. There's also Ned Santana out of Mexico. Of course, Mexico now an approved country for us, but he's not good. First baseman, we have Justin Summers, another Canadian slugger. That contact's ridiculous. Wouldn't mind picking him up. I'm more intrigued by the catcher, I think, though. And Para out of Panama. Also decent. Pretty damn similar to Justin Summers. Greg Bowling, the Aussie. Also available. Fairly well-rounded. Here's the issue. How many of these guys are going to be available to us in the second round? That's been the concern. Guzman out of Mexico is the pick. From what I'm seeing there, I know it says 75 potential, but Jesus, man. He's going to be a machine. Avi Page, also another Canadian, a fielding specialist. At third, Herbert Bentz out of New Jersey, though. I didn't notice that was East. Leroy DeSalvo, another Jamaican, not as good, unfortunately. At shortstop, we really don't have that many options. Alden Coggin. Good old Alden, but he's not that great. In left, Edgar Diaz. Yeah, he's okay. Sean Denson out of Canada is not. And Stephen Bernal out of Canada is not. In center, Ben Salem from Germany. Fast as hell, but that's all he's got going for him. James Shin out of South Korea. A little bit more well-rounded, but still nothing special. And then in right, Davidson's not available. But Vladimir Sanchez is also not. He's out of the DR, son of a bitch. Josh Dillon, though, is, and he's fast. That's about it. So for position players, we are definitely looking at catcher and at first base. In terms of pitchers, I mean, yeah, we need help. Andreas Blanco would be our first option. To be honest, he's not that bad. If the hits and Ks per 9 were a little bit higher, he'd be a guarantee. Ken Francis out of Australia, again, the walks. It's a little bit concerning. And Samuel Aquino out of Mexico. Again, not bad, but not outrageous. So I can't help but think a position player is the way to go. And it's the question, I think, over, Summers. Para's not that bad either. Or do we go for Moseley? I am intrigued by Moseley. especially because he has the 80, and his ETA is shorter than Summers, even though they're the same age. I think Ralph Moseley's the guy. I know he's not blue chip, but he doesn't have to be. Moseley, who has power, everything, contact's a bit weak, vision and discipline's a bit weak, and he's not fast, or Summers. I'm going to go for Moseley. I don't know if this is the right choice or not. We obviously desperately need position players, and I gotta hope that this guy's the guy for us. So Ralph Moseley, #1 overall pick, a catcher going first. Not a bad way to go about things. Now, thankfully, there wasn't much in terms of competitive balance. That would suck and could really screw us over, the fact that we don't have compensation as a factor right now. It'll be a factor later on in the series, depending how far down the road we go. Oh my god, Summers is still available. Hold on. Hold on. Holy hell, yes. Things are already looking up. If these two are as good as they look like they could be, things are going to be looking very, very good for the Tigers much sooner than expected. We are taking the Canadian Justin Summers with this pick. Moseley and Summers, a solid 1-2 punch to begin this draft. The extra competitive balance rounds kind of suck there. Now, who else do we have? There's another first baseman in bowling. He's okay. Oh, God. Diaz wasn't, again, a fielding first option, but his arm sucks. He's good at fielding and he can run. That's about it. Bernal, again, wasn't that good. Oh, boy. All right, who do we have? No more closers. Any relievers? None. Any pitchers? Kanaoka. Oh, God. Right. I'm going to go for the outfielders. And we're going to go probably for Edgar Diaz. Let's take Edgar here. This is already looking rough. Again, maybe it would have been the right way to start off this specific challenge by doing a fantasy draft and picking up some already established real-world players, because then we might have been able to get Oka's off the board, son of a bitch. Then we might have been able to get some extra compensation picks to make this work. We're out of this draft already. So it started off, well, nope, we're not. We got Greg Bowling. Okay, well, so we'll take the Australian, and we at least get through 4 rounds before we are out of this draft. Now, someone did mention this. I'm sorry if I don't remember to put up the comment. Like, oh, okay, once that's done, you should be able to pick whoever. The issue is I wouldn't have much time to scout a lot of these players, so it would be best guess territory, because obviously you can look at the attributes. That guy's in a Maine, what a guy. You can look at the attributes, but even then there's no guarantees. So I don't totally hate that idea, but because it would just be complete shot in the dark, right? Because I wouldn't have time to scout these guys for the most part. It would just be shot in the dark. I could take whoever the hell's left. But like I said, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe if we continue to struggle in these drafts with getting the amount of players, we can do that. And then we'll probably just draft players based off of need over anything else. But we will skip our selection there. Overall, we do bring in 4 players. 2 first basemen, a catcher, and a left fielder. Obviously very excited about Moseley and Summers, who could add a lot to this team if they are as good as they looked. Let's find out. Oh, baby, I'm so mad, though. We were 1 away from having 2 A-grade prospects. That sucks. But Moseley is already the man. 19 years old, 72 overall, 89 B potential. I can't be too upset about that. I mean, I can be, because he was 1 point away from being a goddamn A, but still, monster. And then Justin Summers, a steal and a half in the 2nd round. Good God, the Canadian contingent joining this team. I mean, Summers isn't much of a fielder, but we're an AL club, so it's not really a big concern. And Edgar Diaz isn't that bad either. I mean, he might be useful to us down the road. And that's really all we can kind of look at right now. It's like, okay, he's at least a body. And then Greg Bowling, great facial hair and, you know, just outright hair combination, but not anything too special. Really good stealing for a first baseman, but obviously we don't expect much out of him. But adding Moseley and Summers was gigantic for us, and I'm very, very happy with that. So let's sim to the end of this season. We'll see who wins the World Series and such, all the awards, and then I will pretty much just be simming straight to another draft. Obviously, I'll just take the time to set up the team, sim through the early stages and all the scouting process, and that way you guys get to see the exciting parts, because then otherwise it's just this, watching this team get murdered on a daily basis, which surprisingly isn't all that exciting. I know, I'm shocked too. It's brutal. Cincinnati trying to rob this carcass of a franchise for anything that it has left, as Brad Keller's been dealt to Seattle for Justice Sheffield, Ken Nugent, and Frank Gilmore. That is quite the haul for someone on an expiring contract, but damn, can't say Keller isn't worth it. Ronald Guzman dealt to San Diego for Tirso Ornelas, I guess it would be. And Geronimo Francisco. Guzman made it up to an 89. Jesus Christ. Why the hell are you dealing him then? Unless you can't afford the re-sign, I guess. But 9 wins. Oh, we got into double digits this year. 11 wins. Look at that. We're on the way up. We're making things happen. We're not really. It's still pretty brutal, but there's only 1 month left to go. I am so excited to see what the Canadians are going to be capable of next year. I think those two guys are going to be faces. I mean, Moseley in particular, along with Encarncion, the 2 best players that we've drafted so far. You want to talk about them being the faces of the franchise? They absolutely should be, as the Yankees win their 3rd straight World Series. Jesus Christmas. 6 games over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Yankees cannot be stopped, apparently. Holy hell. A quick look at our team here. Charley Hutson, who is one of our guys, is our top pitcher right now. We also have Alan Boykin, Jed Jordan, John Kida, and then Mitch Vargas down here. So, I mean, pitching staff-wise, it's okay. It's all right. I mean, Kida and Jordan are very much closing in. I mean, really, all 4 of those guys. Hudson's already in low-end usable territory, so that's pretty good. Encarncion is a beast. An absolute beast. How'd he do this year? It's not going to show the stats, unfortunately. Of course, Moseley will be joining the team. Sal Quintero is not good, unfortunately. And then at center, we have Mike Chen, who's just not going to take off. He's just not. It's not going to happen for him. But that's where our current prospects stand at this time. Awards-wise, Gleyber Torres wins World Series MVP. He was also postseason MVP alongside Brian Reynolds. MVPs Paul Goldschmidt and Alex Bregman. Cy Young goes to Chris Sale again. Jake DeGrom wins it again for the Mets. Batting titles to Jesse Winker and Austin Meadows. Reliever of the Year, Archie Bradley for the 2nd year in a row, and Caleb Ferguson, the Dodgers dominating that award. Rookie of the Year, Mackenzie Gore and Ernie Clements, 26-year-old. Hank Aaron Awards to Austin Meadows and Jesse Winker. So that brings another season to a close. The Yankees' dominance continues, just so you can see what the top half of their roster looks like. They picked up Mike Very Polish. That'll help out any team. And also a certain Tiger, who they're playing in AAA, despite him being a mid to high 80 rated guy. They also had Malik Smith and Joey Gallo. So, typical Yankees overkill, as Ron Gardenhire, I think, retired. This was his last season. Anyway, retired players. We do not lose anybody that we drafted, which is good. I'm very happy about that. Any Hall of Famers? No. No. So staff-wise, we have to hire a manager and a pitching coach. Joe Madden's there, as is Clint Hurdle, but he, Obviously, I'm thinking of age, too. When you're looking at a lot of these guys, Orlando Moya would be the smart move for the sake of age. Castaneda isn't that bad either. I got to go for Joe Madden, though. He's top-notch. I don't think he'll sign. The good thing is, though, I have all the money in the world to throw his way. There's also a pitching coach that we needed, and that top guy, Scott Carrillo, is, without a doubt, the ideal target. So we'll see if those two end up signing. Carrillo went to the Twins. No word from Joe Madden, so that kind of sucks. Anybody else? Bud Black. Bud Black. See if we can get Bud Black here as a pitching coach. Joe Madden went to the Phillies as a farm director, but Bud Black did sign. So yeah, I had a feeling that was gonna backfire. Orlando Moya, based off of age, is our next best bet. I'm gonna have to send him a lot of money to outduel the Cards. There we go. It's probably not enough. We'll see what he says. He went to the Cardinals. Son of a bitch. Is there another manager that makes all the sense in the world? Castaneda. Screw it. Throw him all the money. We'll see if that works. Please don't reject. Please don't reject. We don't know yet. All right, so in terms of contracts, now, for the 40-man, I'm a little bit worried about losing any of our guys because I didn't see them. So we're just going to outright add Encarncion to the 40-man. Moseley, of course, I don't have to worry about because we just drafted him. Sal Quintero's on the 40-man. Edgar Diaz, we just picked up in the draft, so I don't have to worry about yet. Mike Chen's on the 40-man. And then for our starters, let's just go ahead and add Hutson. We'll add Boykin just to get that over with. And then Vargas, I don't think I have to worry about, but I'll still add him. Caden Lemons, what a name. I think we're good with all of our players there. So re-sign-wise, Kida needs a new deal. We'll go 3 years, bump up that a little bit because I can afford to throw people that amount of money. Jed Jordan wants to get paid already, but he's been playing in the majors. And then Diaz is not ours. And was that, yeah, those are the only 3. And then tender-wise, catchers, we don't have anybody to worry about just yet. First base-wise, we don't have anybody to worry about yet either. Shortstops, though, Sal Quintero needs a new deal, even if it's not looking like he's going to make it anytime soon. Edgar Diaz and left, we just drafted. So Mike Chen needs a deal. Go ahead and get him on a renewable contract. And Eric Encarnacion, the most important option of them all. Charley Hutson needs a new deal. Also, just throw him a shitload of money. Alan Boykin, same thing. Just throw these guys a boatload of money. And Mitch Vargas is the man as well. So with that, we are good. As long as everybody accepts those offers, we should be fine. As Felipe Vasquez goes to the Twins. Michael Owacha to the Mets. The Waka Waka Castaneda signed. Nebel to the Red Sox. Jose Barrios to the Astros. Jesus, as if you needed the help. Good God, man. That is ridiculous. Wilson Contreras to the Brewers. Trey Mancini to the Astros. Houston just spending all the money right now. Jesus. All right, let me just double check that we had everybody re-sign, which it looks like we did. So we are good to go. Perfect. So I not see you guys in a few minutes because we still got the Rule 5 to take care of, and just got to pray to God that there's actually somebody that we can actually take on. That would be great. Michael Conforto dealt to the Giants for Austin Slater and Hunter Bishop. Don't know if I recommend that, but I guess San Fran's going for it. Aaron Judge to the Brewers. A seismic shift as the Yankees lose Judge at 30 years old. Jesus. Byron Buxton goes to the Rockies. $17 million a year over 6 years. Kyle Freeland to the Twins. 94 overall at this point. The Brewers are offering a trade. No, thank you. You get to deal with that contract that you just signed. Have fun with that. Alex Colon to the Braves at 34 years old. Diaz to the Indians. Oakland spending money as always, bringing Mike Clevenger and Ender Inciarte because, again, they can't help but spend money. Mitch Haniger to the Cubs. Lance McCullers to the Angels. Malik Smith to the White Sox. And we are closing in on the Rule 5. All right. As a Rodon signed with the Angels, again in the middle of the draft. So let's see. Please, for the love of God. Now, there should be more players available here. There should be. There has to be. It's almost impossible for there to not be more options in this draft. Like, we're going to walk away with players. We have to. It's just a matter of whom. Unfortunately, so far, not so good. And again, the fact you got to hit triangle back out and then hit down and triangle again It's a pain in the ass. Why you can't just scroll through players, I have no idea. But, you know, even quality of life changes didn't need to be made to franchise mode this year, right, SDS? Nope, game was perfect. Didn't have to make any changes that you couldn't have consulted literally any content creator on. Literally any of them. Ronnie Freeman out of Georgia. Okay, Alexis Wilson out of Mexico. We have an option. Granted, you're a catcher, but you're an option. You're our only option thus far, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Siegler's not there. Pineda's not available. Another Venezuelan. Tomas Tellez out of Venezuela. Ryan Jeffers isn't available. Duran's not available. Chucky Robinson. Tyler Hanneman. Hernandez. Nope. Caleb Joseph out of Tennessee. Okay, so we at least have a catcher. Ideally, that's not who we'd take, but I mean, goddamn, it's an option. Gavin LaValle. Cordero not available. You're out of Tennessee with a name like that, Xander? Goddamn. Texas, California, for the love of God, let there be someone. Again, we don't even necessarily need a first baseman. Turns out there's a lot of players available here, but there's gotta be somebody, right? Jesus. All right, I'll tell you what, this is gonna be boring as hell for you. I'll jump cut it. I'll let you know when we have our options. All right, so I'm literally rejoining you in progress, as you can see, because now is the right time to do so. Funny enough, we've won 11 games already. The team is looking better. We are set for the draft, even though we are a little bit out from it. I want to show you guys what this team looks like and who we ended up taking. So Lewis Thorpe, the Australian, was the pitcher that we took in the Rule 5. He was the best option by far, and as of right now, is currently the best pitcher on our team. So pretty happy with that. You look at him next to Jordan and Hutson, Boykin, and Kida, it's looking a little bit better. I mean, it's not exactly a respectable starting rotation, but it's a rotation. We didn't get anybody in the bullpen, of course. Eric Encarncion, I mean, the morale is definitely a factor right now, but he'll be getting paid more a little bit. And of course, the team sucks. Moseley's down in AAA, which is where he should be for now to protect him. Summers, of course, and Greg Bowling, intrigued to see what they can do in the near future. Of course, at shortstop, we still have Sal Quintero, Edgar Diaz in left, and then in center, you get our other Rule 5 pickup, Gabriel Maciel, I guess it would be, the Brazilian, who has a little bit of versatility. He's 24, he's already in the 70s. There were a couple of options who were in a similar spot, 23, 24, B potential, 68 to 70-ish overall, and that's who we went with. He's not exactly killing it at the major league level, but he provides another option behind Michael Chen, who isn't exactly doing all that well. So yeah, those are the two Rule 5 pickups. Eventually I'm like, you know, because I started off looking at everybody and just being like, okay, please let there be people. Eventually there was enough people where it's like, okay, I can just look at like B potential guys and make decent progress on this. So we will have, as you can see, of course, the #1 overall pick yet again. Let's take a look at who's available. This might be the last thing we do in this episode. I don't know if we'll get to another Rule 5 draft. I will let you know. Again, we've been handling the Rule 5 in the same way. One pitcher, one position player. If we were to take everybody, this team would be looking a hell of a lot better already because there were quite a few players that were available. But anyway, catcher, not exactly the position that we're looking for right now, but Richard Abe is available. He's not that good, though, unfortunately, so it's a good thing we don't have to worry about that. Juan Garcia is an interesting one, though. 22, 5+ years away, or 4+ years away, 6'5". He's a monster. I don't think he'll be that good, but he's an interesting player. Carlton Diaz, the German, is an interesting option for the vision discipline and contact abilities at catcher. Also, Carlton Diaz, the most German name you've ever heard. Tejada is also available, the Panamanian, who is honestly not bad. It's interesting that yet again we have options at catcher. First base, nobody. So it's a good thing we got Justin Summers last year. Second base, nobody. At third, we have Tommy Sao, the South Korean, who is okay. And Charley Mares, I guess it would be, who might be my pick. Now, I know, 70 potential, but Jesus Christ, these attributes. As long as he is a C potential guy, he's going to be unreal out of the gates. So I think he's going to be worth it. So third baseman Charley Mares is definitely who we're looking at right now. Shortstop, there is nobody. In left, we have Ryan Hadaway, the Dutchman, who is and William Chu out of South Korea, who's also just kind of meh. At center, Juan Ornelas, who is not available to us. Peter Arabu is, though, but more of a speed and defensive specialist. Chris Hummel out of Canada, also available, also very intriguing. Honestly, if I could get that third baseman in Mares, and if I could get Hummel at center, I'd be pretty happy. Mariano Garcia is available, but he's Cuban. You have Nakajima out of Japan. Interesting bit of power for him. And Sean Warden out of Australia, also not that great. So two interesting options, mainly at third, or the one interesting option at third, who we could debate taking first overall. For relievers or closers, there's at least nobody there. You do have Carlos Franco, who's not available to us. David Silva out of Mexico, but I don't think we want to take a reliever first overall, which leaves us with Ian Rosado, who is not available, and James Shannon, the Canadian. So I am very much intrigued by our option at third base, although Eddie Smalls out of Canada is also an interesting one. But I feel like there are more pitchers available in this draft, okay, maybe not, than position players. But you do have Joe Metler, who we might be able to pick up later on in the draft. So I gotta be honest, I know it's a huge risk because of what that listed potential is, but Mares is the exact type of player that you want to take and, you know, risk it for. So Charlie's going to be the pick, and this is perhaps a controversial move that could set this team back a little bit if it backfires, but I'm typing his name down on the list of our players document that hopefully will be in the description. This is the guy for us. So another brief jump cut aside, moment of truth. Charlie, I hope to God you're as good as you look like you might be, because there were a couple of starters that might have been a little bit more interesting to take. So let's see who else is available. Hummel is still there. Interesting, but I think we have to look at starters first. And Eddie Smalls is available. The walks, meh. The control a bit questionable. Everything else looks pretty damn good. And then Metler is also still there. We got a couple of relievers, Thad Van, and again, a couple of the catchers that are a bit more interesting, but I mean, Moseley is our guy. We'd be looking at a backup catcher there. Oh boy. I'm torn between Hummel or a starting pitcher. And I'm torn between starting pitchers because we technically have a 5 that might be able to carry us already. Smalls is pretty damn good. He really is. And then Metler as well. Looks like he could be interesting. This is a tough call. I don't know why I'm so intrigued by Chris Hummel. I'm gonna go, I think just because, again, it's Jordan, Kida, Boykin, Hutson, and Thorpe. That starting 5 is looking all right. You know what? I think that's what we're gonna do. We are gonna go for Chris Hummel in another move that I feel like I will regret. Let's take Chris Hummel and hope for the best, as Metler and Smalls were the next 2 picks. So just in case you thought we might have been going off the board with Metler, he ends up going in the second round. We do have 4 players left. Warden, the Australian, who's not that good. Nakajima, who has that bit of power. Hadaway, who's a bit well-rounded. And a reliever in Chauncey Rice out of the Netherlands. And just obviously, we're going to draft for need here more than anything. And we're going to take Chauncey Rice with that pick. So a third baseman, a center fielder, and a reliever. I'm thinking that's all we're going to end up with. It's not. We're also going to be taking Sean Warden. So add another outfielder to the list of options that we have selected. Honestly, he's not bad. I don't expect him to be that good. Another 4-player draft, which is all right by me. But we'll see whether or not I've botched this one by risking it a bit too much. Which, honestly, I might have. I might have gotten a bit too cocky on this one. Let's find out. Okay, so I told you he was probably a C potential guy. But he's 18 and a 75 already. And there's a chance he can make it up to a B. There's a chance. I think he's going to be okay for us. Same thing with Hummel. He's decent out of the gates. He might not be insane by the end of it, but I think we added 2 decent options. Whether or not I missed out on somebody, I mean, time will tell. I'm looking at who teams selected in the first round here, and I think so far so good in terms of names that were available to us. I think we did okay. All things considered, again, huge risk to take who we did. Even Smalls was only a 76. So perhaps my confidence, perhaps my confidence in the 5 starting pitchers that we have already is a bit unwarranted. Metler wasn't even that good. Perhaps, again, that confidence was unwarranted, but based off of who else was available to us, I think we did okay, which is shocking. So Charley Mares, I am going to be, well, I guess it would be Mares as opposed to Mares, but I'm going to be very intrigued to see how this guy does for us. But overall, even with us ending it here, which we're going to, I think we did okay today. We get Moseley, Summers, Mares. You look at Maciel and Lewis Thorpe in the Rule 5. Things are starting to look up a little bit. Time will tell whether or not I have that same optimism. But again, you look at that top 5. I think they should be able to develop into a decent enough rotation. Obviously, we don't have an ace there, but in due time, you know, things might come together for us. I'm happy with today's episode, which means the next episode's going to be a nightmare.